Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wicked Sports Podcast for February 17th, 2025. We got a jam-packed show for you today. Obviously, first weekend without NFL football, which makes me very sad, and the UFL hasn't started yet, so I really have nothing specific to cover from the football angle until that starts, until free agency starts, but when there is a story, I'll be here to report it. But for today, we're going to bring back our old segment, Around the Diamond, where we're going to be talking about the Red Sox, previewing their season, and hopefully this will be more of a segment for us to cover the MLB in general. So hopefully you enjoy that. Then Ryan will be joining me to talk about the All-Star weekend in the NBA. We have segments on the opening festivities, the 3-point contest, the NBA dunk contest, and then we are going to talk about the All-Star format, what it means for the league, and everything going forward for how they're trying to grow the game through it. So I thought it was a very interesting conversation. So please check that out. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Everyone, welcome to Around the Diamond. It has been a while. I'm joined by Rhett. Rhett, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing quite well. And Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
So this season, we're going to kind of tackle the MLB season as a team. So you'll be seeing Rhett, you'll be seeing Ryan, Jack, Chris, Aaron. Everyone will probably make an appearance at some point because the MLB season is just really, really long. We'll be focusing primarily on the Red Sox. We're a Boston fan base. We're a Boston-based channel, all of that. So with that being said, Rhett, let's start this off. How are you feeling about the Red Sox heading into spring training?
This is the best we've looked in years. How can you not be hyped? I mean, the moves we're making, how can you not be hyped about this?
Yeah, so big move right now, Bregman, right? Can you tell me a little bit about the move and how you feel about it? And then Ryan, I want to get your opinion on it as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, the true fan in me kind of hated it, and obviously, I'm a huge Arenado fan. I have been forever. So I was like, man, I don't care. I want Arenado at third. But the more I look at it, the more I think it makes a ton of sense. He's going to be playing Pepper with the Green Monster the entire time. And yeah, the AAV is really high on this one. I mean, it's 40. But A, we're deferring some of that so we can learn from the Dodgers. And B, if that's what it took to get him for 3 years, then that's what I want, because that's exactly what we need him for. When you look at who we have coming up, I mean, we have Christian Campbell coming up, and we have Marcelo Meyer. That's 2 spots in the infield that are going to be taken by young guys. Devers doesn't want to move off third, although he should, because he's statistically the worst third baseman defensively in the league. Hell of a bat, worst third baseman. And then Tristan, maybe not, can make it work at first. We have potential options at first base when it comes to that. I think if you lock him in for 6 years, we're paying a 36-year-old Bregman to sit the bench. I would rather get him paid now and have the spots open up down the line than the other option. Even if it is 40 a year, you pay a premium to be able to get out of those deals.
That's fair. Ryan, what is your first reaction to the signing, and how are you feeling? It's been about a week, right? Not even.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a little older than you might expect, you are paying a lot. But the thing is you're getting him 30 to 33 is still prime, I think, in MLB terms. And I mean, he's just great fielder. I want to say he's got insane Fenway Park stats. I want something like no one has hit better in over 90 at bats there than I think Ted Williams. I read something like that, so that's pretty crazy.
He's got a 1.24 OPS. To Ryan's point, that's how good he is.
Yeah. So, and he's excited to be here. I also think, it's like Rhett said, you had 3 years of him, and with all these guys coming up, you get a good veteran presence who seems excited to be in Boston. You can kind of lead a core of infielders. I've been thinking for a while, why Rafi wasn't a first baseman who they tried to almost immediately move to DH once they could. I think that's got to be, I'm hoping that's the move this year, is that they do that. But then, like Rhett said, Casas is still trying to work out the first base position too. And obviously you want both of those guys in the lineup batting. But yeah, I think it's very exciting, right? To have plus we got, someone like Rafi. I think Bregman's a good fit with him, where he's a little more of like a consistent hitter. I believe so. And then, right, he's obviously a better fielder.
No,
A little more
he isn't much.
well-rounded.
He's a very good fielder.
But still, like, right, more than like, say you pair someone like Bogarts next to Devers, Bregman's got a little more slugging ceiling, definitely more of a slugging ceiling. So it's like you got a couple guys that can hit some bombs, right? And then you have Casas in there, you have Duran. I mean, we've got there's a lot of excitement, I think, in this lineup.
Yeah, and so before we started recording, right, you had mentioned that like you kind of wanted to touch on the kind of transitional period the Red Sox are in, coming out of, the moves they made to win a World Series. What, like, God, 7 years ago now?
It's been 7 years.
So, and then we've kind of had this lull, but now hopefully we're coming back to contention. Can you kind of, fill in the audience on your feelings there?
Yeah, I mean, this is what Dombrowski does. He won the World Series with the Florida Marlins in 2003, and everyone knows that they sold everybody. I mean, the Red Sox made out. We had Mike Lowell and Josh Beckett from that team, and then won another World Series in 2007. He did the same thing with the Tigers. The Tigers never won a World Series, but they had they had the best team in the early 2010s. It was the worst luck that they never got it right. And the Tigers just made the playoffs for the first time last year. It was a decade for them. And this is what Dombrowski does. The Marlins still haven't been back. They can't piece it together. I think that we have done a phenomenal job in setting ourselves up to go from having the worst farm system in the league to having, and this isn't hyperbole, the best farm system in the league. That takes years to regrow, and we've done it. And we're to the point now where we feel that we can pay Bregman extra money per year to have the options. And now it's go time. I mean, yes, we're talking about Bregman, right? But with the Walker Buehler signing, with the Garrett Crochet signing, our bullpen and our rotation has gotten a lot better. We got rid of Jansen. I'm not saying that Aroldis Chapman is going to be the guy. I don't think he's been the guy for a little while. But we're making the right moves. And the other thing is we're avoiding arbitration, which is something that we have not been doing for a long time. And that creates animosity with the players. Now we're avoiding that. Tanner Houck looks great. Brian Bello looks great. I still think that their ceilings are higher than what they are. We have a healthy Story. How long is that going to last? I don't know. We have a healthy Whitlock. How long is that going to last? Again, these guys are a little bit injury prone. I know when Whitlock's on, he's the best bullpen arm. And I also don't think that that's very close. So, if you're not excited about the Sox this year, I don't know what to tell you, because this is the best we've looked. We are primed and ready to start a World Series window. And we're watching the Yankees World Series window close at the same time. It's a great time to be a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, Ryan, any thoughts on all that Rhett just said?
I think like, a Dylan Cease move could be really interesting. Just in the sense too, with like Brian Bello, like to Rhett's point, I think people kind of underrate his ceiling. Where I think the expectations were so high because of the Pedro endorsement, and then he just had such a poor relative start. But I've always thought like he could be a really good like third best pitcher on a team. So I think, right, you get like Dylan Cease with like Tanner Houck, him, right, you're starting to rebuild the rotation. And I mean, I'm really excited about the younger guys. Again, did Duran win the All-Star MVP last year? If he can watch his mouth and like all that, like if Tristan Casas,
perfect Boston player.
Yeah, for sure. And then I mean, it's you mix that in with like Tristan Casas quirks. If he can basically stay healthy and not have someone punch him in the face for being weird and annoying, I think like he could be really exciting. He's got, in my opinion, the ceiling. I don't know, Rhett, you could comment on this too, to maybe hit up to like 40 home runs.
I think he could.
Yeah.
I get a little bit worried about lefties in Fenway just because it's so deep in right field. We start talking power numbers. But to your point, both Bello and Casas, they don't have to be the guys anymore.
No.
We have the guys. We have the Buehlers. We have the Crochets. We have the Bregmans. We have the Devers. They don't need to be the guy. It's not, the season's not going to ride on them. Like Casas felt that last year.
Yeah. And Casas
if I don't perform,
he can be like John Olerud now, right? Like kind of a guy who's known for his like for certain quirks and just like doesn't do much except just like randomly be like, does that dude have 38 home runs? Like,
absolutely. And then the guys that we're bringing up, it's a better mentality where people can talk, and I know that people say that football's the biggest team sport, and there's something huge to be said for that. And I'm not saying that there's not, but baseball, man, when you're a hitter, you come up 1 every 9 times. And if you're convinced that the game's going to ride on your at-bats every single day, you're never going to be in a good position.
Yeah, I agree.
So being able,
we've been.
Yeah, exactly. So being able to have these guys take the pressure off themselves and be like, just go be your best version, whatever that is. It doesn't need to be good enough for us to win. It needs to be whatever you have, because we have other guys who are going to help us win. And that's how this whole thing works. I think you're going to see a lot of growth from a lot of guys this year.
All right. Well, anything else you wanted to add before we get on out of here after this first segment?
This AL East is going back to the AL Beast.
Yes.
Between the Orioles, who I really think are going to have a bounce back season, the Yankees, who were only in the World Series last year, and now the Red Sox doing this. We're probably going to see 3 90-win teams again.
Love that. It should be fun. It should be a fun summer. I'm really excited to be talking about the Red Sox again. And, I thought this segment was great. You're both so knowledgeable, and, it's going to be a good one. So, Rhett, tell them where they can find you online. Anything you want to promote, floor is yours.
Oh, man. We were doing a lot. We were doing a lot with soccer, swinging at shins. Mostly you can find me on the Wicked Good Sports channel. We do have a swinging at shins channel as well if you want to find me over there. And if you're listening to a baseball, always in the description. If you're listening to baseball, you're also into soccer, man, go check us out there. But everything baseball, I'm going to keep it on this one.
All right. And Ryan, same thing. Anything you want to promote? Tell people where to find you, anything like that?
Yeah, well, I think we have our NBA segment on here on Wicked Good Sports as well, right? If you want to check out that. And if you're a nerd in things more than just sports, me and Brian have some Game of Thrones stuff, and we're hoping to kind of respin it to some degree, maybe like touch more on just pop culture in general. So check that out as well.
Yes. So go check out Better Radio for that podcast. That is, of course, Wicked Good Show, bringing it back from the dead. Dylan, Ryan, and I, and then hopefully everyone else can come on as guests and talk about whatever shows and movies that, strikes their fancy. But main channel, Wicked Good Everything. Got a lot of videos going there. We also have Those Fake Nerds, which is our news pop culture channel. And of course, like I said, Better Radio for all of our podcasts that don't have to do with sports are on that channel. So thank you guys so much for your time. And I'll see you all in the next one. Hey everyone, welcome to At the Buzzer. I'm joined by Ryan. Ryan, how you doing?
Brian, I'm doing really well. It's a great time as a hoops fan, right? Got the All-Star weekend, which, has kind of been known for disappointing in recent years, but I think there's some things to be optimistic about for this year, which we'll talk about. And then, college basketball is rolling. I'm doing well.
Yeah, no, well, first, I'm glad to hear that. And second, I think what we'll do, we'll talk a little bit about the All-Star festivities, and then we'll come back for the viewers. They won't know any different, but we'll come back and talk about how the tournament went. Probably 2 different segments in the episode. So how did the All-Star festivities go in your eyes?
Yesterday, so I didn't watch all of it. I ended up getting roped up during the skills competition, which I forgot about. It is fun to watch. All I kind of know is that there were some shenanigans. I think mostly with the Spurs in terms of Chris Paul apparently played around with the rules and argued with the refs about it, which he's kind of known for in general. If you don't know that about Chris Paul, loves arguing with refs. And they were disqualified from the skills competition. So I didn't watch that. I didn't really deep dive on it because honestly, I was like, that kind of sounds like a thing that can happen for sure. So I'll move on to the 3-point contest. Watching that, I mean, I love the 3-point contest. I don't know about you, Brian. I'm someone like I enjoy just even for fun, like shooting the basket. I love watching guys shoot. It just kind of hits those dopamine levels as you see those guys like hit like 4 or 5 in a row, and then they hit the money ball. To me, it's a very appealing format. I think it was Buddy Hield started off really strong, and he's actually won before. And he was someone. For me, I think I had like 4 guys. I was like, yeah, these are the 4 guys I can kind of see winning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why didn't I have Buddy Hield? A couple guys got eliminated early that weren't expected to, including Dame Lillard, who, had won previously. And actually, despite not like super strong, like I think he barely snaked in the first round. And then he had like a score of 24 in the second, Tyler Harrow, which is like decent and respectable, but it's not like a high score. He ended up winning the 3-point contest. And so I think that was his first one. And, he's definitely kind of known as a guy who shoots. So that kind of just, further creates, the career he's building for himself. And, kind of cool to see as past the Jimmy Butler stuff, he's kind of becoming the guy. And, that's all I got for the 3-point contest. I mean, I personally love the 3-point contest. I think it's pretty fun. I would have liked to see, I'd have to look. They probably went by percentages this year, but I feel like there's some other guys that I think could have been more exciting. Like you have some really good shooters in there. And like, I think someone like Buddy Hield, he's not having the strongest 3-point season, but to be fair, he's just like a shooter. Like I could see like why you'd want someone like that in there, but like also put some of like the really high end guys, like even like, people who are just throw in like a Luke Kennard or like someone like that. And then I think like, there's always going to be the guys who are just known for their shooting that we're going to want to watch, like, like the Currys of the world. I'm sure he just didn't want to do it this year.
Over it. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I think everyone gets there eventually.
Mm-hmm. Well, the big talk of the town is a slam dunk contest. Because we got a 2-way player winning it 3 times in a row. Tell me about Mac McClung's 3-peat. Chiefs couldn't do it. He did. So I don't know.
Did you say a 2-way player?
Isn't he on a 2-way contract?
Oh, I thought
I don't know if he actually gets into the league.
Offense and defense. I was like, I would think like you have to look closely at it, but his defense, I got to think, probably isn't like helping him.
There are reasons why he's not, a one-way.
Yeah, there's not to say that's like the primary reason, but
yeah,
we could talk all about that. Yeah, the fact that, it's a super interesting circumstances, right? It's like this guy who is, he was literally a star in college. It was him and Zion in their class. He's a high school star. And, he has just struggled to make it in the NBA. But 3 years ago, people are like, you got to get this guy. And you can see why. He's made the most amazing dunks. I was out shoveling and came in for the, there's just the tail end of the first one over the car. And you can just see like they show multiple like big NBA players like at one point like Giannis, even Mitchell is like, he's just like, oh my God, like he's just insane. And I think even one of the judges was like, that was on his last one. He's like, that's the second best dunk I've ever seen. And I'm only saying second best because maybe there's got to be something in there that was maybe better. But he goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's just so incredible in this format. But like it's kind of gotten to this interesting thing where it's like literally like, well, that's all you do. Like, if we're talking, think about the 3-point contest. Like I'm sure there's some guy out there. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but there's probably some dude who just like, has like a basketball setup hoop in his house. And like, I don't know. I'm sure there's some guy that can nail a bunch of threes out there.
Who's that guy? Is it Lethal Shooter? Is that his name? Or like,
that's
where he does like the weird ones with like knives in the
basket. I wouldn't say it's quite at that level, but like sometimes you do kind of think to yourself, like, man, why doesn't Mac McClung just go to like what was Dude Perfect or
Dude
something?
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where but no, so the thing is he still is in the NBA. It does definitely seem like the reason why he's still in is for that. So I think that's kind of maybe that's why he's like he said at the end of yesterday. Each dunk was maybe better than the other. I actually thought the second one, it was just like for me, it's just like, man, his delivery, it's not even like the tricks, like just his ability to like how much air he gets and just like slam the ball. It like he's really made an art of it.
Mhm.
But he announced at the end, right? Like kind of like, yeah, I think this is probably it, unless they
Yeah.
find someone really juicy. Where he's like, come on, I'm tired. I feel like he's like, I'm tired of getting jerked off here. Like,
Yeah.
and personally, I don't really, I mean, I could kind of go into if that's where we want to go, like the angle, because I've thought a lot about it.
Sure.
As far as like why he hasn't been in the NBA, he's not in the NBA, because you look at his athleticism, it's like there's got to be a place for him somewhere, right? And I was like, what kind of player? But he's 6'2". He's usually going to be in the point guard position. Sometimes guys that small will play an off the ball like shooting guard position a little bit, and uh, the league's pretty positionless these days anyways. You're going to take a loss no matter what if you have a guy that's small out there. And again, he's got that incredible vertical. You would think like, why can't he translate that to get some blocks? Or, he seems like a guy with his athleticism and knack for timing could also get some steals too. So I really thought about it. I was like, I don't see like why he couldn't work towards like a Cole Anthony role. If you know who Cole Anthony is, he was like, kind of just this like point guard on the Orlando Magic who, right, he shoots really well. He's crazy athletic, great dunker, has some great shot blocks, but like just is kind of a selfish player, makes some poor decisions. He's never right. You're kind of in between a rock and a hard place with him because he'll put up numbers, but he's really just an energy bench player. I see no reason why Matt couldn't at least be this. So I think this is where it goes down to like, right, these are why the people that have been studying this stuff their whole lives that are like scouts, I've got to assume it's because like looking at that stuff, someone like Cole Anthony, people might think doesn't have a high basketball IQ. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think it's more a personality thing in the decision making in the moment, because of like the personality thing where, and that's part of why he has some of the skills he does, because he probably thinks he's better than guys he's not better than. Right. And Mac might be lacking in that IQ standpoint at an NBA level in terms of the processing, in just ways like, we're not able to see. But I've got to think it's something like that. I wish someone would give him a chance. I would love to see it. At this point, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. If it does, it probably, unfortunately, is someone directly buying into, hey, let's keep this guy in the dunk contest.
Right.
But I would like to see it, and I'd like to think if he plays, he could prove people wrong. I mean, obviously, he's very talented. And he did win G League Player of the Year. He's been successful on a number of levels. And I mean, he's not going to be able to dunk like that all the time, but he'll make a couple highlights, I bet. So,
Yeah. No doubt. So, that's very interesting to all of our listeners. What are your thoughts? Why do you think Mac hasn't broken through to the NBA? And if you're listening to the full segment, stick around. We're going to talk about the All-Star tournament. Should be very fun. But if you're not, please like this video, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Everyone, welcome back. So we talked about the 3-point contest and the dunk contest in our last segment. You can check that out as its own video, or, if you're watching the full show, that just happened. But now we're back to talk about the All-Star game, the updated format, and Ryan's thoughts on it. Ryan, how you doing?
Brian, I'm doing well. Good weekend of sports. No complaints.
Yeah, no, I mean, first weekend without football. So, we got to, find the content where we can. And luckily, the NHL and NBA have provided for us with these interesting takes on the All-Star game. So, first of all, what did you think of this updated format?
I think anything's kind of better than what it was before, right? Yeah, it didn't feel like this drawn out slog fest of just like empty stats, right? It was quick to the point. They broke it up. By no means was it perfect, but I I thought it was, yeah, it's a good first step in the right direction. Some interesting stuff with like them. I don't know what the NBA is doing with like the content creator thing.
Mr. Beast was there.
He was, that competition was kind of cool. I definitely had at least one of my friends texted me. I could have made that in 5 tries. That's always fun when you hear people say stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was cool to watch the kid. Honestly, it was a cool idea. Like when the kid made the shot, did you see like Shaq and Kenny like hugged him? And yeah, it's kind of cool. You know, you're happy to see it.
Anytime someone can be winning money, you know, a regular person, it's very fun, I think. So like, I definitely get it where like the NBA is at this point where it's like, we want to grow the game. We're having like a little trouble getting people to watch. Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber in the entire world by far. You know, let him give someone some money, have some fun out there. You know, I don't hate it.
Yeah, they had for the dunk contest, they had another YouTuber as a judge. Apparently, he's a really big he's one of the bigger sports YouTubers. So they are making an effort with that. It makes sense to get people more linked in. I think 2K seems to have a lot of connection with like content creation. It's big with the microtransactions. I feel like that kind of goes well with the generational stuff.
Right.
So,
No, I think it is smart to embrace, you know, especially where like the NBA is at this very interesting point, and that's kind of plays into the new format of like we have our older stars. Obviously, LeBron is from like way back, like the 2004 draft class, but he still like gets lumped in now with the KD, Steph, like that. Still old guard, even though he's like technically a generation older in my mind. You know, D Wade, Carmelo, he's like part of that, but he's just played so long, and now they're like, okay, these people are going to retire probably in the next 5 years, right? We need to make new stars. And, you know, we have players like Jason Tatum, obviously for us, he's a star, but he's like the best player on our favorite team. Of course, he's going to be a star to us. But I do like that they had like this up and comer team where it's like, hey, these are the probable future stars of the league. What do you think of it from that angle?
So the rising star team, I did look at it. Amen Thompson is the man, right? I don't know if you remember him on the Rockets, and like there's a couple other good players on that team. I can't think of off the top of my head. I mean, there's a bunch like Jalen Wells, Dalton Next, but like those guys I don't really see as like right. Like you're like, oh man, that's really like right. Nice additions to their teams, like good rookies, but like they're not there yet. We'll see. Right. I'd have to look, but like, you know, I feel like the rising star team probably could have had more pop. I think you even could have gotten away with, I mean, he had a tough beginning of the year, but you could have got away with like putting Tyrese Halliburton in there, even though he's been an all-star. Yeah, there's just so many guys I feel like they missed out on putting on there. I think it's interesting, and you said with like the older players, right? We definitely, I feel like you saw it in the Olympics, especially, where I really feel like they try to market Anthony Edwards as this new American star to the point where it's like a little obnoxious, you know. Like I know I definitely, you know, I think I messaged you and Jack once, was like, hey, there is something Jordan like about him, right? And that was before anyone ever said that. Now all of a sudden it's like he's even saying it, and it's like, okay, I don't know about all that. And I think another thing is people were like, wait, you think SGA is better than Anthony Edwards during the Olympics? And that was literally just because how hyped Anthony Edwards was getting, where the point where he's like, do you guys remember SGA is like a top 5 player in the league right now? And he's just like dominant. And, you know, at least right in the regular season, and then, you know, he was as well in the Olympics. And then we get back to the season, and it's like SGA is a top 5 player again, and no one's questioning that he's better than Anthony Edwards. So, yeah, we're definitely trying to market a new star. I think the international thing is a good way, you know, kind of lean a little more on what the NHL did, sort of. I mean, who would not love to see Giannis, Luka, Wemby, I know Embiid was on US, but just throw Embiid in there.
Right, yeah.
You know, who didn't? There's someone I didn't mention. There's Jokic. Jokic. Did I say Jokic? Yeah, Mitchell. Mitchell's American. But well, his mom is from. I believe his mom. I don't know if she's from Panama. I think, at least one of her parents is. And he did recently. He did like a shoe release to get back to his roots with his family from Panama. But you know, so they got a little creative with that team. But I think you could build a disgusting international team easily, right? You could build two. I mean, like I said, I'd like to see all. I mean, you have 3 of the top 5 players in the league. Throw those guys together. You know, Wemby's already pushing that. Honestly, America, maybe they don't want to do it because America's going to get crushed. I even wonder, to be honest with you, because even though I don't think it would have been close at all, right? We are trying to probably market the American stars and still this older team. You know, Tatum is like like you said, out of the relatively younger guys, he's definitely like the top dog right now. How marketable is he as like the American star? I don't know. I mean, he's a very well-rounded player and he's a nice guy. Maybe that's like,
I'll give you a hot take. If he wasn't on the Celtics, he would be being pushed as the main star a lot more. But I think like there's so much animosity towards the Celtics historically by, you know, other teams that like people just don't want to see.
There is a lot of animosity, and there is probably, I think, right, the kind of before it was like because Larry Bird was plugged so heavily as a star over Magic, and you know, the obvious racial undertones there, and then
right. That's all.
How poorly Bill Russell was treated relatively as a star here. There's a lot of reasons between the Lakers and the Celtics. People tend to like the Lakers more. That being said, I struggle if it was the right guy on the Celtics. And I don't mean like, I just mean there, I can see qualities in Tatum that make him hard to market as like a LeBron. That's all. But I think honestly, I was watching it yesterday and I was like, why didn't they put I don't know why they didn't put the because really I think you should match the first best team with the third best team, right? So I was like, why didn't they match up Shaq's team with Kenny's team? Because I was like, because that's right. I thought that would be a little more of a fair matchup. Like Shaq's versus the Rising Stars is just kind of ridiculous because of how like seasoned those guys are, you know. I get but I think they really didn't. They knew that third team with like Brunson, like they had Garland. I mean, they had some guys. So like, I think they knew that that's a team that could upset you potentially. I really don't. They did not want to risk not having Steph, not having LeBron, you know. And I actually think, I mean, I think there's an argument Tatum could have won the. Tatum scored the most points for them last night.
Listen, I didn't want to say it, Ryan. I didn't want to say it, but I also agree. Looking at the stats, I think Tatum should have won the MVP.
It's the stat line, and again, it's the plays. But again, I think that's part of it. Gets down kind of to the marketing, right? Steph is the most Steph has gotten the most views. I mean,
look, we all love Steph. Like, I don't want to.
Oh, he's a
hater. You know,
he's the best, and they've really had to rely on him in LeBron, right? I would actually, we can go actually to the Warriors. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, with Draymond, who, you know, Draymond made some interesting comments yesterday. He had some strong opinions. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Draymond Green had strong opinions about something unreal.
Well, you know, Draymond has got away with a lot for a long time, to a degree. You know, I do think there are things the refs don't always call on Draymond because Steph got a really good shot off it, you know, like illegal screen, stuff like that. Obviously it way escalated, and like, you know, the kind of stuff he was struggling with like a year ago is different. But Yeah, there are things they have to do for TV views. The NBA's priority with Adam Silver as a commissioner, I know 100%, is to get as much TV viewership as possible, and they do a really good job of that. I think compared like to any they try so hard to keep the fans engaged. I've definitely noticed in general. I think basketball is the most exciting it's ever been personally. The players are more versatile. They're more athletic, right? I know people don't like, but the shooting's better. And actually, people think there's no defense. I think that's kind of crazy because I think you have the most defensive talent there's ever been. I know when I've run into older people that are like, Larry Bird and Matt and MJ, and I've been like, all right, do we not see that like this league is kind of reflective of Larry Bird's play? Like in terms of like, right, the two-way commitment, the shooting, the ball movement. And, everyone I've said that to has actually been like, oh, I never thought of it like that. And it's like, yeah, who would have thought that like great players would have influenced the league and that it would continue to develop. So I do think, right, there is kind of a stigma against like the new league as it currently is. I think the rule changes they've made, and I think some of this stuff they've done on TV are strides to improve it. Like I said, I think they're going to want to always look for an American star to market. You've also got a bunch of great international guys, so milk that as well. I mean, Wemby is ripe to be the next guy. He's in his second year, and he's already a top 10 player in the league. And the first guy, you're like, he should have been on the Rising Stars, but literally, I mean, he's
it's hard because
he can't do that. He's on an all-star team, I mean, that is someone you could have put at least get Chet on the
right
on the Rising Stars team. But I think the thing with Chet is that he was injured, and honestly, he might have even been considered too much of a border. I think the thing is they wanted to maybe keep it separate from All-Stars. I think he might have been. I don't necessarily think he would have made the All-Star team, but it would be up in the air. He would have been. I think he would have been in like the top 5 bigs who didn't make it in the West had he not been injured.
Maybe that could be a cool idea for a team, the fringe all-star team.
Yeah, I mean you do like the Rising Stars, or like you do, right? You can do and just do right like some slightly younger guys. Like trying to think the team with Brunson. I mean, Brunson's like 27, 28, I think. I guess Garland is probably pretty young, but I think you could do like under 25 or under 24 easily, and you could probably come up with some guys again that have done a little more than the Dalton Necks of the world. Sorry, Dalton Neck. I do not mean to call you out. I'm just off the top of my head.
He's had a rough week or a couple weeks, Ryan. He's traded, untraded. Like what he did.
He did. I did see another, like, when you hear people who are like say the league's soft, I've definitely heard like they then see that Dalton Neck needed more time to process almost being traded. I was like, whatever. I was like, go do you. He definitely went to like Palm Springs with his bros, I hope. Like
yeah, I hopefully he had a good bro weekend to get it all worked out. I love that. Yeah, just it's very, very much thinking of real bros right now. Just when they go to Cabo, or was it Cabo or Cancun?
I don't even know if I remember that, but
yeah. We'll have to catch up. We'll do a recap podcast one day of Real Bros franchise.
They do like a spa day, like they did like funnier than like a spring break. Like they just straight up do like a spa thing. Like all right, we're getting really off topic.
Yeah. Anyways, watch Real Bros, Simi Valley, great show.
Yeah.
Really, really funny. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, I just think I think it was a fun idea for the All-Star game. We'll see if they keep it or what happens. But I mean, any other thoughts on the All-Star weekend?
The All-Star weekend overall, no, I thought it was an overall relative improvement. I mean, for me, the excitement was about the same, right? But I do think they're making moves to change it up. I don't know. I definitely noticed like some people were at least more interested in it because of the change. Others were like, why don't we just like do like, have them wear their own jerseys or something like that, which I don't really know if that would quite do it. Um,
Oh, that's it. It solved it. Everything. It's fine now.
But yeah, I think it was a step in the right direction. Like I said, I think maybe if they did a more like high stakes type of thing, maybe make it more like kind of the NHL did, right? Where you do like international versus US.
Yeah, we need some fights 3 seconds into the game, like
Yeah.
in the NHL.
Well,
That's why we actually German. Maybe we do need him.
well, and to be honest, I was kind of of the unpopular opinion when LeBron relaunched the squad for the Olympic team. I actually, right, they dominated, but I wasn't the biggest fan of that because most of those guys are heading out soon. And if you look at the team that was in like the FIFA or not FIFA, the FIBA World Cup, right, the year before, with like Reeves and they had a ton of young guys. I think you should let that kind of a team grow as a unit because in like 3 or 4 years, if they go up against an international team in something like this, yeah, maybe they can beat them, right? But right now, how it is, 3 or 4 years, Steph retires, LeBron retires. Again, we talked. You're really leaning on Tatum, right, and some other guys. So I do think there's that argument, and maybe that's a reason they wouldn't want to do it. But I think it could be an interesting way to go. Yeah, if you want fights, throw Draymond in there.
I don't think they actually want fights. I'm just,
no.
That one commenter on our last video who's like, "Who cares about the NBA hockey? They're fighting each other immediately." Like, okay, fair enough, I guess.
Well, and to that commenter, I could look up online, but I do believe nationally basketball is still a more popular sport. So that is something we have to keep in mind.
Very true.
Still very popular. Some people do care about it. Yeah, understandably, it's taken a dip, and I do feel like overall, basketball fans and people in the NBA are feeling it, and they're trying to find more creative ways to get new fans. And I think they're making overall it was positive efforts. They're going to have to figure out, with the dunk contest, what the hell they're going to do with Mac McClung to sustain that. Because, yeah, I just don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I guess where can they find you online? Anything you want to promote? Floor is yours.
So I believe today you'll be releasing an MLB podcast with you, me, and Rhett. Please check that out if you like the MLB. Was very excited to get going on that on this channel. I know we have a wicked good sports blog. Brian's starting up again. He's starting to write again. I might get on there at some point with some stuff, whether that's NBA, MLB, just like overall sports. We'll see. But yeah, check that stuff out.
Yes, please do, Ryan. Thank you so much for your time.
Ryan, pleasure as always.
All right, we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you so much for checking out the show. If you liked it, please subscribe. Check out our sports blog at wickedgoodeverythingsports.com. Main channel is, of course, Wicked Good Everything. We cover nerdy pop culture news. The podcast channel is Better Radio for all of our podcasts that don't have to do with sports. And of course, this is Wicked Good Sports. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe if you haven't. Share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.